Hello, everyone, and welcome to this third episode of Discovering the Classics. I am your host, Andre Garcia. So, in this new episode, episode 3, I want to talk about this piece which I have been working on for the past 9, 10 months, almost a year. It is by a composer, Spanish composer called Enrique Granados, and the piece is Allegro de Concierto. And it's a wonderful piece. I've been working on it. Recently, I haven't practiced it as much just because I already did my senior recital, and after doing things for almost a year, you eventually start to get a bit tired. But I decided to work on it a little bit just for this video, and I've decided that I want to share it with you guys and include it in this series that I'm doing because it's such a wonderful piece, and I feel like it shows a different aspect, what Romanticism was like in other parts of the world, not just in places like Poland or Europe or France. So yeah, let's go ahead and check it out. I'm going to talk a little bit about who the composer was, how he lived a little, what he why he composed the piece and stuff like that. So, but before I do, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and leave a comment. I enjoy, sometimes reading comments, the few that I get, because it gives me feedback on what to get better on and the things that I should do to improve, but also that, you guys are watching the videos. It's not just somebody leaving it in the background to do me a favor and give me a view. So I appreciate it and thank you very much. So let's get started. As I had mentioned, this piece is by the composer Enrique Granados. And as I said before, he's a Spanish composer. Now, when you think about it, there's not really. I mean, I'm sure there's like a bunch of Spanish composers, but there's very few that are well known, right? I would say that within like the top three, maybe Enrique Granados is up there, but he's not like a household name. At least not that I can think of. Most people that I talk about, at least most pianists that I've interacted with in my day-to-day, they know about him because of the piece that I'm playing, and I always ask people to listen to me. So I feel like that's how they kind of find out about this composer, but he's not super. He's not like Chopin or Liszt. He's not in the sense that he's as known as Chopin and Liszt. But this piece especially, it definitely it's closer to what Liszt would write, and it has some elements of a Chopin-esque style. But yeah, so Enrique Granados, he was born in July 27th of 1967, and he died March 28th of 1916. One quick fact about him. So he was the guy who kind of introduced the romantic or late romantic style of music to Spain. So Spain, obviously, it has it's rich in its cultural heritage, and it has its style of music is very different from most European music. It can be a little moody sometimes, it has a lot of capricho as I think. This piece has that, and so the thing is that he introduced this piece, but during the years of 1887 and 1889, he studied in Paris in a conservatory where he got to experience the music of French composers, and he was also around the area where a lot of Chopin and Liszt music was being played. So his style of composition definitely draws a lot of inspiration from these great artists, or these great composers, I should say. Another thing about him is that unfortunately he lived up until 1916. So he was old, but he was maybe around 40 to 50 years old, and he unfortunately died in an accident. Yeah, I'm sorry to drop it like that. He just died. Well, no, he didn't just die. So he was premiering I believe it was an opera of his, Goyescas. He was premiering it in New York. And then on his way back, his boat was hit by a German U-boat. I'm assuming this was during World War I, if I'm not mistaken. So it got hit by a torpedo or something, and luckily he didn't die from the initial impact. However, his wife was drowning, and he leaped into the water to save her, and unfortunately both of them died after that. So, you know, I would say somewhat of a romantic death, to die with your partner, but he left I would say a pretty big legacy. He started a school back in around 18 16. Give me one sec. He opened up a school back in 1901, which was the Granados Academy for Piano, I believe. Later, the name was changed, and that academy produced some really great pianists. The number one pianist who I think was produced was Alicia de la Rocha. You know, if you don't know her, she's incredible. She's recorded all of Granados' works multiple times, I believe, and she has some insane recordings of Chopin etudes. So I'll see if I can put the links in the description or up here in the corner. So now that I've talked a little bit about the piece, I want to play a couple of sections. This piece, it lasts for about 8 to 10 minutes, which I think is kind of long, but the truth is when you're playing through the whole thing, you don't really feel it. I'm gonna take different cuts from different sections. So there's some very fast parts. There's some very slower parts. I would say the slower parts are definitely, obviously, they're more lyrical, but they also use more of that Spanish influence. And some of the fast parts, they definitely show a lot of the virtuosity from the late Romantic era. So I'm gonna go ahead and show them. I'm gonna show you guys the little upper angle that I like to do, and I'll show you guys the sheet music somewhere over here on the side. So enjoy. Okay, it's not bad. Now for section 2. And so there you have it. That is Allegro de Concierto, or at least a small portion of it. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I look forward to making more of them now that I am free. I can finally start making more videos. I'm gonna eventually go through most, if not all, of the material that I had for my senior recital. So the Petrarch Sonnet 123, the Prokofiev Diabolical Suggestions, maybe the Scarlatti, and maybe the Chopin Etude, the Ocean Etude, because the Chopin Etude is it's a whole other level of hard. But I'll keep working on it, and I hope to see you soon. See you later.